Sexual reproduction in animals. At the beginning of the session, we started to discuss about asexual reproduction in animals. In most of the animals, sexual reproduction occurs and asexual reproduction is confined to only few phyla in the animal kingdom like Protozoa, Coelenterata, Porifera and in some platyhelminth worms. However, these animals may also show sexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction is completely absent in animals of higher phyla. To recapitulate, in the process of asexual reproduction, the genetic material of the offspring is same as that of the parent, as shown here. In this figure, you can see the genetic material from the parents of Euglena is distributed equally to the daughter Euglena. Sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction is the advanced mode of reproduction in animals. In this method of reproduction, the characters of the parent generation are transferred to the offspring. Look at this animation for better understanding. A woman who is fair and a man who is short reproduce a son who shows both the characters of his parents, that is, short and fair. Sex organs. The male sex organs are called testes and the female sex organs are ovaries. These organs produce male and female gametes. Male haploid gametes are called spermatozoa or sperms and female haploid gametes are called ova respectively. Sperms are produced in large numbers and are motile and swim freely with the help of their tail. When compared to sperms, the ova are produced in small numbers and are non-motile and are much larger in size. Fertilization. Fusion of male and female gametes resulting in the formation of zygote is known as fertilization. Watch this. Here, what we see is the process of fertilization. Look at the haploid male gametes. The sperm with lashing movement of its tail moving towards the haploid female gamete, the ovum, and uniting with it, resulting in the formation of the diploid zygote. Though many sperms are released by the male, only a single spermatozoa undergoes fertilization. Types of fertilization. Fertilization is mainly classified into two types: external fertilization and internal fertilization. External fertilization is a case where the animals discharge or expel both ova and sperms into the surrounding environment. So, the fusion of sperms and ova occurs outside the body of the animal. This type of fertilization usually occurs in aquatic animals like fish, frog, and also the earthworm. To better understand external fertilization, look at fertilization in a frog. The female frog is attracted by the croaking sound of the male frog. The male frog lies on top of the female frog and holds it with the help of amplexary pads. Hence, copulation in frog is called amplexus. Now, let us look at internal fertilization. In this case, the male animal deposits the sperm inside the body of the female animal where fertilization occurs. This type of fertilization is most common in terrestrial animals like insects, reptiles, birds and mammals. Let us take an example of the human reproductive system. Children, look at the process here. Sperm are released by a male into a vagina. These then move into the fallopian tube and fertilization occurs in the fallopian tube of female. We have discussed the concept of unisexuality and bisexuality in animals. Please remember these terms, as unisexuality denotes the condition of species capable of producing only male or only female gametes but never both, while bisexuality denotes that both male and female reproductive organs are present in a single animal. In general, unisexuality of animals is more common than bisexuality. Male and female animals show marked distinctness. These differential characteristics are called as sexual dimorphism. Externally, male and female animals are differentiated through secondary sexual characters which are developed at the time of puberty of an animal. What is puberty? It is the age at which an animal attains the reproductive capacity. Secondary sexual characters may range from color, size, shape of the body, sound of the voice, body hair, etc. Let us look at a few images which clearly show sexual dimorphism between male and female animals of a species. Observe the clear differentiation between male and female lion, a cock and a hen, and a man and a woman. This distinction is called sexual dimorphism. In contrast, animals with both male and female reproductive organs in a single organism are bisexual, and this condition is called hermaphroditism, and the animals are called hermaphrodites. This condition is generally seen in lower phyla like Protozoa, Coelenterata, Platyhelminthes, Nematoda, Annelida and Mollusca. In these animals, sperm and ova are released by the same animal. Self-fertilization is prevented by either protandry or protogyny. Protandry is a condition wherein the testes mature earlier than ovary. By the time the ovary matures, the testes may lose its function, whereas protogyny is a condition where the ovary matures earlier than testes, preventing self-fertilization, and by encouraging cross-fertilization ensures evolution of species. Hence, it is preferred over self-fertilization even in bisexual animals. Okay friends, after this brief introduction, let us now see the method of sexual reproduction in paramecium. As we all know that the paramecium undergoes asexual reproduction by binary fission. Repeated binary fission results in loss of vigor and vitality of the animal, and there will be a shift in the nuclear cytoplasmic ratio. In order to restore the lost vigor, vitality and nuclear cytoplasmic ratio, the paramecium undergoes sexual reproduction, and the method of sexual reproduction in paramecium is known as conjugation.
The body of paramecium has two nuclei, a large macronucleus and small micronucleus. The macronucleus performs all the vegetative functions and micronucleus performs reproductive function. Let us now examine the process of conjugation.
The paramecium that undergoes conjugation is called conjugant. The two conjugants come to lie on their sides and unite. At the point of union, the pellicle of each conjugant dissolves. Thus, a bridge is formed between the paramecium and the cytoplasm becomes continuous. This bridge is known as cytoplasmic bridge. The micronucleus now undergoes meiotic division to produce 4 haploid nuclei in each conjugate. During this process, the macronucleus disintegrates in the cytoplasm. Of the 4 daughter micronuclei formed in each conjugate, 3 nuclei disintegrate and disappear into the cytoplasm. Now, there is 1 nucleus in each conjugate. The nucleus present in each conjugate divides into 2. One nucleus of these 2 is bigger than the other. The bigger nucleus or macronucleus is the stationary nucleus and is known as female pronucleus. The small nucleus or the micronucleus is migratory nucleus and known as male pronucleus. In the next stage, the male pronucleus of one conjugate moves through the cytoplasmic bridge into the other conjugate and fuses with female pronucleus. The resulting nucleus formed after fusion is known as zygote nucleus or Syncyrion nucleus. After the formation of Syncyrion, the cytoplasmic bridge closes and the pellicle is formed in each conjugate. The 2 conjugates now separate and these are now called as X-conjugates. In each X-conjugate, the Syncyrion divides thrice by mitosis and forms 8 nuclei. Now, of these 8 nuclei, 3 disintegrate from the X-conjugate and of the remaining 5 nuclei, 4 develop into macronuclei and 1 develops into micronucleus. Now, each of the X-conjugates divides into 2 daughter cells, thereby producing 4 daughter cells. Each cell will have 2 of the 4 meganucleus and due to the division of micronucleus by mitosis, each daughter cell will receive 1 micronucleus. Each of these 4 daughter cells will again divide, giving rise to the formation of 8 daughter paramecia with 1 mega or macronucleus and 1 micronucleus. As we can observe that it is always the micronucleus that divides by mitosis and meganucleus in the X conjugates does not divide. The micronucleus divides by mitosis in the conjugates, resulting in male and female pronuclei. The union of male pronucleus with female pronucleus of another paramecium brings about genetic recombination. So, what are the advantages of conjugation? Conjugation rejuvenates the paramecia and helps them recover the strength lost by repeated binary fissions. As the macronucleus of the daughter paramecia is formed from the Syncyrion of X conjugate, it discharges the physiological activities more vigorously. Due to the exchange of genetic material between conjugates, new characters appear in the daughter paramecia. Earthworm, which belongs to phylum Annelida, is a bisexual or hermaphrodite animal. That is, both male and female reproductive organs are present in the same individual. As we discussed previously, self-fertilization in earthworm is prevented by protandry, wherein testes mature earlier than ovary. Testes. There are 2 pairs of testes, one on each side of the body in the 10th and 11th segments. The testes produce sperm mother cells which mature into sperms in seminal vesicles. These mature sperm pass through a duct called vas deferens and are sent out of the body through male genital pore. Ovaries. In the 13th segment of earthworm, 1 pair of ovaries is present, one on each side of the ventral nerve cord. Spermatheca are present in 5th, 6th, 7th and 9th segments of the earthworm. These are sac-like structures and are used to store spermatozoa during copulation. Copulation. So, what is copulation? Copulation is the sexual union between two opposite sexes of an organism. In earthworm, during copulation, the two worms meet in opposite directions. That is, an interior end of one worm is opposite to the posterior end of another worm. The purpose of this union is to ensure that the male genital aperture of one worm comes in contact with the spermatheca of the other worm in order to deposit the sperms in spermatheca. Fertilization in earthworm is external and is favored by cocoon formation. Cocoon formation. What is this cocoon formation? The 14th and 17th segments of an earthworm are swollen and skin on these segments is thick and glandular. This is called as clitellum. These segments are called as clitella segments. Cocoon formation takes place around the clitellum. When the ovaries mature, the clitellum secretes a viscous substance in the form of a girdle or box. This girdle hardens to form cocoon. Now, the ova are discharged into the cocoon. The cocoon moves anteriorly and the worm moves posteriorly. By this movement, the earthworm wriggles out of the cocoon. During the anterior movement of cocoon, it moves over the spermatical openings and receives spermatozoa of other worm which are stored in the spermatheca during copulation. With further anterior movement, the cocoon comes out of the earthworm and both ends of cocoon close. Now, the fertilization takes place in the cocoon. Since it occurs outside the body, it is called external fertilization. Further, the development of earthworm also takes place in the cocoon, and in about 8 to 10 weeks, the young earthworms come out of the cocoon. Let us now delve into understanding how a housefly reproduces. Housefly is a unisexual insect. That is, male and female reproductive organs are present in different organisms. The type of fertilization in housefly is internal. A pair of testes is present on the abdomen of the male fly on each side of the ventral nerve cord. They produce male gametes and sperms. Each testis is connected to a tube called vas deferens. The tubes join to form a single ejaculatory duct opening outside through a genital opening. A pair of leaf-like ovaries is present in the abdomen of the female fly. Each ovary is connected to a duct or tube called oviduct. The oviducts are joined and open out through a genital opening. This opening is present in a specialized organ called oviposters, which helps in laying the eggs. In addition to oviduct and oviposter, the female fly also has sac-like structure called spermatheca, and they store the sperms that are received during copulation. Male fly deposits the sperms into the body of the female, and these are stored on the spermatheca of the female until the ova are released by the ovary. Thus, fertilization occurs in the body of the female and therefore it is called internal fertilization. After 6 to 8 weeks of copulation, the female lays fertilized eggs in a cluster in decaying organic manure, decomposing fruits, grass, human feces, etc. In each season, a female lays eggs in about 5 to 6 batches, and each batch consists of 100 to 125 eggs. Thereby, in a season, each female lays about 500 to 600 eggs. After discussing the reproductive patterns in unicellular organisms like the paramecium, a bisexual organism like the earthworm, and a unisexual organism like the housefly, we will now move on to the sexual reproductive pattern in frog. Frog is a vertebrate with a clear sexual dimorphism. That is, male and female frogs are clearly differentiated. Have you ever tried to distinguish a male frog from the female frog by looking at it externally? No. Okay, try doing that after our discussion. Here are a few differences between male and female frogs. What you can see in the video is a male frog. A male frog has a pair of vocal sacs at the junction of its jaws. This vocal sac is responsible for the croaking sound of the frog, and this sound is a characteristic of male frogs for attracting the opposite sex. Vocal sacs are absent in female frogs. Here is the second difference. A male frog shows a pad-like structure on the index fingers of the forelimbs. These pads are called amplexary pads. These are useful during copulation for holding the female frog. Because of the presence of these amplexary pads, copulation in frog is also called amplexus. Amplexary pads are absent in female frogs. We will now study in detail about male and female reproductive organs in frogs. Let us start with the male frog. A male frog has a pair of testes on the anterior part of the kidney attached with a mesentery called mesorchium. Testes are yellow in color and are oval in shape. The yellow colored projections you are seeing attached to the testes are the fat globules. Testes is a tubular structure, that is, it shows the number of tubules internally. These tubules are called as seminiferous tubules. Spermatozoa are produced inside these tubules. Further, seminiferous tubules open into the vasa efferentia, which are 10 to 12 in number. In turn, the vasa efferentia opens into the kidneys. Hence, the spermatozoa produced in the testes open into the kidneys through vasa efferentia. Now, the ureter is a duct that arises from each kidney and passes downwards posteriorly, opening into a chamber called cloaca. Cloaca is the posterior most aspect of the digestive system. The ureter in the male frog is called urinogenital duct because it passes both sperms from testes and urine from kidney through it. As we have said before, cloaca is a common chamber for the release of sperms and urine. Friends, here remember one thing. Though cloaca acts as a common chamber, both sperms and urine are not passed simultaneously through the cloacal aperture. Both sperms and urine are not passed simultaneously through ureter. It is only during copulation the sperms pass out, while urine is passed without any such conditions. During copulation, the male frog releases several thousands of sperms into the water. This discharge is called as the milt. Each sperm is a motile haploid male gamete with 3 parts: the head, the middle piece and a tail. The head of a sperm shows a haploid nucleus which actually fuses with the haploid nucleus of the ovum to form a diploid zygote. The middle piece shows numerous mitochondria and centriole, and The tail is long, flagellated, which makes the sperm motile. You can see that the head of the sperm is covered by a cap-like structure called acrosome, which is formed from Golgi complex. Acrosome helps the sperms to penetrate into the egg during fertilization. After the discussion of male reproductive system in frog, we shall now study the female reproductive system of frog. The female reproductive system shows a pair of ovaries, which are the primary reproductive organs, a funnel-like oviduct which further opens into the ovisac or uterus, which further opens into cloaca, which passes the ova out through cloacal aperture. The female frog has no external distinguishing features. Internally, the frog has a pair of ovaries on the kidneys attached by a mesentery called mesovarium. Ovaries, unlike testes, are lobulated with several lobes. Each lobe has a number of chambers called follicles. One egg is produced from each follicle. When the female frog in its full reproductive age is dissected, we can notice that the ovary occupies a large space of the body cavity filled with mature eggs. These eggs receive the nourishments through the fat bodies present on the kidneys. Here is an interesting point. Unlike in other animals, the frog releases the eggs into the body cavity. These eggs are collected by the funnel-shaped ostium, which is at the anterior position of the convoluted tube called oviduct. The egg or ova in the frog is a haploid female gamete which is spherical in shape. This egg now moves from the oviduct posteriorly into an expanded sac called ovisac or uterus. Uterus stores the ova or egg till they are released. The uterus opens into cloaca. As we have noticed before, egg or ovum of the frog is spherical in shape. The upper part is the nucleus. It is dark in color due to the presence of pigment in its cytoplasm. This part is known as animal hemisphere. And the remaining part of the ovum is light colored containing yolk in it. This part is called as vegetal hemisphere. Female frog during copulation releases a mass of eggs into the water just as the male frog. This mass of eggs float on the water as foam. It is called as spawn. What actually is copulation? When does it occur in a frog? And what is the method of copulation in frogs? Copulation is the art of sexual union between two opposite sexes for the process of reproduction. The process of copulation or the breeding season in frog generally occurs in the months between June and September. The female frog is attracted by the croaking sound of the male frog. The male frog lies on top of the female frog and holds it with the help of amplexary pads. Hence, copulation in frog is called amplexus. Friends, as we discussed in our previous sessions, an egg is fertilized by a single spermatozoa. Similarly, in a frog, the group of eggs is fertilized by the group of sperms giving rise to the young ones. Watch this. Here is the regular process of fertilization. A haploid sperm uniting with the haploid ova giving rise to diploid zygote, which later develops into tadpoles, which then metamorphoses into frogs. Another thing to remember in the reproduction of frog is that the fertilization occurs in the water rather than in the female reproductive system of frog. Thus, fertilization in a frog is called external fertilization. With this, we wrap up sexual reproduction in animals. Now, we shall move on to study in detail the reproductive system of human beings. Human reproductive system. Male reproductive system in man.